Hi everyone, the new PTS for update 40 dropped last week with a whole new game mode, brand new class sets and some balance changes. I originally wanted to wait for the final notes, but I decided to make it earlier so it can maybe help people to give feedback to us. This next patch is gonna be released on October 30th on PC and 2 weeks later on console, as usual. So let's talk first about the new game mode. It's called Endless Archive and it's nothing like we already had before. It can be solo or duo and it's pretty much a roguelike. You can fight any boss from ESO at random, and when you win, you get to the next level, you get buffs for your run and the difficulty increase. It's pretty funny as you can randomly encounter your necrom from Sunspire, for example. I'm not gonna detail everything as a lot is potentially gonna change in the future, but from my personal feedback, I think the levels are way too long. In the current state, it can take several hours to grind only a few stages, and it is extremely easy at the start, so if you want a challenge, you need to play for at least 10 to 12 hours in a row. But even if you do, mobs HP increase, but not their damage, or barely, so you can just spend several minutes eating the same trash pack who does nothing and takes ages to die. In my opinion, they should remove at least half of the changes required to grind to the next level, and drastically increase the difficulty scaling, so eventually you will face a wall instead of running for 12 plus hours and giving up to go to sleep. Otherwise, overall, it seems like a great addition to the game. It's just way too easy and too long in its current form. Some quality of life things are also coming, like Master Crafty Station, which will combine every set in the game, so you don't need to spend 300 housing slots anymore, and a new jewelry craft system, which will make jewels way cheaper to gold out. And finally, a new group finder tool, which is totally insane in my opinion, and the best thing you could have gotten in a while. It's gonna help a lot of new players to find groups to clear raids, farm stuff, and just find groups in general. The fact that it's so customizable really makes it useful for everyone who needs or wants to do any sort of group content. Now we come to the big part, new sets and balance changes. First of all, our Arcanist Gleivik and Gibbering Shield now affect 12 players, which makes them better options for defensive ultimates, but they're also multiplied by 4 Gibbering cooldown, so it's even worse than before now. DK Flame of Oblivion now gives crit on both bars, which is pretty cool and means you can gain a skill slot, in general for Engulfing Flame. Whip is now giving you stacks even if the whip isn't on the bar as your Ardent Flame ability, but can only work in combat now. The change is cool, it's a DPS increase, but the combat nerf part is kinda sad as it makes your whip not usable anymore in trash and DK lose a bit of class identity. Templar, the healing beam now gives you mag back every tick, which is a really insane sustain buff for Templar in 4 mana and solo. Aegis Color now has a crit line instead of stam recovery, a very nice change. I wish they could do the same with Azureblight, which is crits even though it cannot crit. This is most likely the new best in slot set now, with an exchange. Pillar of Nirn reduced damage of that nerf by around 22%, but they gave him a crit line. Not much to say, the set is pretty much dead. It's not that it itself it's performing terribly, but if you compare it to Aegis Color, it is strictly a worse backbar option. It is very unreliable in content, whereas Aegis will always proc where you want. It is single target, where Aegis is AoE, and now Aegis also does way more damage. Even if you get unlucky with a proc and get 3-second downtime, the damage will still be higher. And the condition is martial melee damage, which you are getting in literally every DPS class with just light attack and bashes, but also some very good skills such as Rapid Strike. So yeah, you can pretty much decraft your Pillar of Nirn, except like on dummy on some specific specs, but in content it's pretty much a rip. Class sets. Okay, so there is a lot to say about those new class sets, but I will try to stay objective and straight to the point. In my opinion, they are pretty poorly designed for a few reasons, mainly that they are overcomplicated and very low rewarding. Half of them gives heroism, which is a potion buff, and balance-wise, I can't describe how bad they are. PvP players claim they are for PvE, and PvE players claim they are for PvP. Among them, I could place some in my top of the worst set in the game, especially those ones. In my opinion, they need to simplify them and give them way better effects. For example, the Warden one could give Match or Courage on top of the other things, and the Templar one should see 80% of the text disappear, give spell damage instead of magica recovery, not being capped to 1 stack per skill, being less than 50 stacks, etc, etc. This is, in my opinion, the perfect example of a really poorly designed set, as it is weaker than pretty much every neutral set in the game. It doesn't synergize at all with the skill line, especially Beam, and it is supposed to be DPS centered, but the stack building doesn't reward you with damage, it gives magic and recovery. So it feels like pretty much everything is wrong, and this is in my opinion the least terrible set of all of them, so I'll let you guess what I think about the others. Outside of that, they fixed most of the issues related to pets stealing things like Slayer, Berserk, which is really cool. They also fixed the passive and set disappearing when you cast a synergy, which is also pretty cool, so no more checking CMX after a fight and realizing your right attack were doing normal damage and your velocity was deactivated. Before the end of the PTS, I hope on some good changes for both of the sets and the Endless Archive. You can join my server Warheart to talk about all that new stuff, and if this recap video was useful, feel free to subscribe, share it with your friends, like it. Have a great day, see ya!